This is ABC15 Mornings.
And happening right now at 6, Hurricane Sally making landfall. Life-threatening storm surge is expected. Flooding, rain as well, a major threat. We have a full report in just minutes.
Here in the valley, it is going to be another hot day. Temperatures on the rise, and we even have a weather action day in that forecast for you. We'll get to that momentarily as we wait for an official sunrise. We show you those live images. Saying good morning to you from the studio, Kaylee O'Kelly for ABC 15 Mornings. Our Nick Saletti, social distancing from the newsroom. Good morning.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. Yeah, before we get to your top stories, let's get to that most accurate forecast. Meteorologist Iris Hermosillo is standing by right now on a Wednesday with a quick look for us. Hey, Iris.
Hey, let's talk about it, because I know we are not necessarily looking forward to a heat alert here in mid-September, but we've got one in effect this week. Our temperatures will be trending up. We're talking near record high temperatures. Oh, and we've got air quality concerns too, as we also see air quality alerts in place for the Phoenix metro area. Now, here's the good news. The morning's still providing some heat relief, and look at that temperature in Phoenix. I told you we'd drop into the 70s, and there we are at 78 degrees officially at Phoenix Sky Harbor. Down to 71 in Chandler. Mesa, you're at 79. It's 73 in Glendale and 75 in Avondale. Our sunrise happens at 6:13 here this morning. Temperatures will start to gradually climb after that, and today will overall be a hotter day with a high of 107 in Phoenix. You can see that peak temperature at around 4 o'clock, but we're going to start to see those 90s by 10 a.m., hundreds by around 1 o'clock here this afternoon. So plan your day accordingly. Again, get outside and enjoy the morning. Then tomorrow, a little hotter, and we're in weather action mode. I'm going to detail out that excessive heat warning for you in just a few minutes. But for now, I want to send it over to Chelsea Davis, as maybe folks are driving into work with their windows rolled down. Right, Chelsea?
Exactly. Yep. Taking in the great temps that we're enjoying right now, Iris, before it gets too hot later. Watching the accident log group traffic maps right now, it seems like everybody's just cruising along. We don't have many breaks or too many red areas popping up on the maps. East Valley right now, if you're traveling into or out of Maricopa on State Route 347, that looks pretty clear. Same story with US 60 out through Apache Junction and beyond. From the west side of town, I-10 eastbound, you'll see your normal stop and go as you get closer to the stack. And then I-17, actually, this is a pretty good desert drive time to go southbound from the 101, down through the stack, around the Durango curve, over to the split, 27 minutes to go 20 miles, and you're averaging around 45 miles per hour. Not bad. North Valley, clear conditions right now, and even our ADOT cam looks good in case you don't travel on I-17, but maybe the 51. This is what State Route 51 looks like if you're at northbound and southbound directions are not slow at all, even if you're getting closer to the 101 or to the mini stack.
Okay, Chelsea, thank you so much. Want to get you right over to this. Right now, detectives on the scene of an early morning homicide. We have learned the person behind this murder is still on the run. Our John Genovese live at that scene near 59th Avenue and McDowell. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Kaylee. And that is the big priority right now, trying to track down the person who police say is responsible for all this. Officers are just beginning to clear the scene of the Circle K, where they say this all began early this morning. And if I step aside, here's what we know. Police say at this bus stop on the northeast corner, two men got into a fight. That's when one of them was stabbed twice in the stomach. That man tried to stumble towards this convenience store here, but actually collapsed outside. The clerk and passerbys then calling for help. We're told that man was rushed to the hospital where he died. Take a look at this video. This just minutes after that call came out this morning. Police telling us the suspect in this only described so far as a white man in his 20s. Unfortunately, police not able to provide us with a better description just yet, but they say he fled westbound on McDowell. Again, they set up a perimeter. They say there were some reports of potentially that man in people's backyards around here or hiding behind dumpsters, but unfortunately those didn't pan out. Now, investigators have not yet released any details about that man who died. Obviously, they are still out here canvassing this area, trying to find that suspect. And of course, if you have any information, you're being urged to call in immediately. For now, reporting live, John Genovese, ABC 15, Arizona.
All right, John, thank you for that. Today, we are expecting to learn the identity of the suspect accused of opening fire outside the Sandra Day O'Connor Federal Courthouse, hitting a court security officer. That drive-by shooting downtown Phoenix, happened yesterday afternoon. Authorities tracking down and arresting the suspect just a few hours later. Now, the FBI is leading that investigation, and so far no motive for the shooting has been released. But we can tell you the security officer was rushed to the hospital and is expected to recover. 3 members of a contractor crew now recovering after a laboratory accident at ASU. We know 2 of those workers do have serious injuries. They were actually doing a routine decontamination at the biodesign building using a chlorine dioxide mixture when some sort of overpressurization happened. ASU, we're told, is now looking into exactly what went wrong.
Every 4 years, it seems the road to the White House is based on a handful of states, primarily the Midwest and Florida. This year, that's changed, and Arizona might be the most important state. Mark Thompson is live this morning as the 2 parties are putting a real focus on Arizona voters, Mark.
Yeah, they sure are, Nick. Good morning to you. And right now, Arizona has 3.9 million registered voters, and that number is expected to jump to over 4 million in the next couple of weeks, and that is drawing candidates to town. Take a look here. Just this week, it shows just how vital Arizona is this year. Ivanka Trump, she's going to be here today, followed by Second Lady Karen Pence and Vice President Mike Pence. President Trump, he was here on Monday. Vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris, she was here last weekend, and we're told that Joe Biden is planning a visit here to Arizona in the near future. Arizona has 11 electoral college votes, which could decide who gets to 270 on November 3rd. But political consultant Stan Barnes, he says that the election is not about those who already proudly call themselves Democrat or Republican.
Everyone's made up their mind about the president, except for one small but important slice of the electorate, and that is that voter that normally does not vote Democratic, but cannot stand the president's style and personality in office. That voter is the undecided voter. And whether or not that voter turns out and performs may decide the election.
And 32% of registered voters call themselves independent right now, and that accounts to 1.2 million votes. And that's who all of these candidates, the political experts say, need to gear their message towards if they want a chance at getting to the White House come November 3rd. Reporting live this morning, Mark Thompson, ABC 15 Arizona. Back to you.
Yeah, those 11 electoral votes, Mark, could put one of these candidates over the edge. Support is growing for early voting, but there's still a lot of distrust for voting by mail. Over 3 in 10 people say they're very confident that their votes will be counted accurately if they vote by mail. Nearly 7 in 10 say the same thing about voting in person. That's according to a new poll from the University of Maryland and the Washington Post. The Postal Service is trying to educate people on its role in the mail-in TV voting process. With TV ads, I should say. About 60% of registered voters nationwide say they want to cast their ballot before the election. Compare that to 2016 when that number was hovering around 40%. And don't forget, you have until Monday, October 5th to register to vote here in Arizona. The deadline to request a mail-in ballot is October 23rd. Early voting begins October 7th.
Happening right now, Hurricane Sally hitting the Gulf Coast. The storm making landfall just a couple of hours ago as a Category 2 storm. This morning, ABC's Ellen Lopez is in Mississippi as millions are bracing for days of nonstop rain, flooding, and storm surge.
Slow-moving Sally trudging ashore.
Oh my God!
Forecasters warn the slow motion of this storm will bring historic life-threatening flash floods. Flood alerts stretching nearly 700 miles along the Gulf Coast. More than 10 feet of storm surge expected to slam low-lying areas between Biloxi and Pensacola. Already hammering Florida. Wind gusts toppling trees, rain tearing docks apart. This barge crashing into a bridge, knocked loose by heavy winds. And in Alabama, floodwaters cut off roads, trapping people riding out the storm.
We literally have water coming in the windows and the door, and he's having to hold the door shut to keep it flowing open.
An angry gust and knocking power out in Gulf Shores. And in just 24 hours, the slow pace of this storm could bring 4 months of rain.
I think everybody on the Gulf Coast just needs everybody's prayers because there's going to be a lot of damage.
Unlike Laura, we're not expecting Hurricane Sally to move through quickly. And the issue with that is that it will bring flash floods and life-threatening storm surge to coastal areas and perhaps affecting people for days to come. In Bay St. Louis, Elwin Lopez, ABC News.
Elwin, thank you. Next on ABC 15 Mornings, Arizona families struggling to live only a couple $100s a week. Now, should the governor issue an executive order to help them during this pandemic? Joe Ducey looks at why we have these problems with unemployment assistance.
It's almost 6:13 in this morning's wildfire watch. Those living in Doney Park near Flagstaff are back home. This after two small wildfires forced evacuations yesterday. The fires, we're told, were human caused, and authorities in northern Arizona say this woman is being questioned as part of their investigation. Thankfully, no one was hurt and no structures are damaged. The raging fires on the West Coast causing all kinds of air quality concerns for millions of people. 3 cities now rank among the most polluted for air quality in the world. Satellite images showing the haze and smoggy clouds from the fires reaching all the way to New York. Doctors in Portland, Oregon are giving out N95 masks, saying 1 out of every 10 hospitalizations right now are from the deteriorating air quality.
We're seeing a lot more people with productive cough, dry cough, shortness of breath.
A lot of those symptoms sounding like they overlap with COVID-19.
It's difficult to tell at first who has COVID-19 and who has an irritant from the pollution.
Wow. Well, right now there are more than 70 active wildfires in 10 states, Iris.
Wow, and absolutely incredible to see some of those images and how thick the smoke is. Let me show you the air quality for today across the western U.S. because, again, you see that bullseye of the very unhealthy air in Washington, in Oregon, and even in parts of Northern California, too. Although California has seen some improvements over the last 24 hours, air quality is still at unhealthy levels for many spots across that state. So we are, of course, going to continue to watch that situation and keep you posted on the very latest. Now, we've also got some air quality concerns back here at home. Here's the deal, though. It's not wildfire smoke that's causing those issues, although you're still going to notice a little bit of that haze higher up in the atmosphere. But here at the surface, that air that we breathe in, it's ozone pollution that's going to create those issues for us. So you can see we're in the orange today as we are officially under an ozone high pollution advisory today. And then tomorrow, an ozone high pollution watch before we see some improvements Friday and this weekend. Reason is high pressure and control. We've got stagnant air, meaning that the winds just aren't providing much movement in the air. And so that pollution builds up. We've got plenty of sunshine too, which is one of the ingredients for ozone pollution. And so that is what's contributing to it. Now today, a good day to limit your time outdoors, especially for those more strenuous outdoor activities, and especially during the afternoon hours when we see the higher concentrations of ozone. Ozone pollution will impact folks that are elderly, kids, and anybody with any breathing difficulties. Maybe you already have asthma or COPD. Again, you may have difficulty breathing today because of that poor air quality. Now, we can all help, too, to kind of help reduce some of that pollution because the other ingredients in ozone creation is pollution that comes even just from your car or from using gas-powered, lawnmowers or leaf blowers. So avoid using those today. Try to wait to refuel your vehicle after dark and avoid drive-thrus or idling as well if you can today to help reduce that pollution that then leads to ozone. Now, as we talk temperatures, if you are going to be venturing outside, the morning time, of course, is the most comfortable. We've got 70s across the valley. And check you out, Maricopa. You're even down into the 60s this morning at 69 degrees. It's 77 in Queen Creek, 71 in Gilbert. In the West Valley, waking up to 73 in Peoria and Laveen. You're down to 70 degrees, 73 in Anthem here this morning. We're going to start off with comfortable temperatures, but it's going to get hot and hotter today overall, with temperatures back into the 90s by 9 a.m., hundreds by around 1 o'clock, and then our high today peaks at 107. And that's 7 degrees above the normal high for this time of year. 106 to 107 across the Phoenix area, with the exception of some of our foothills like Anthem and Cave Creek. And it'll be even hotter out west. 111 in Bullhead City, 110 in Yuma, mid-90s today in Sedona, and low 80s in Flagstaff. Just a slight chance for showers in the White Mountains. Then tomorrow, we're officially under an excessive heat warning and in weather action mode for tomorrow. A high of 108 on Thursday before temperatures drop a few degrees down to near 104 this weekend.
ABC 15 Desert Drive Time, sponsored by Accident Law Group.
All right, thanks so much, Iris. Watching the roadways here for you. And we are going to start on the west side of town. In case you travel on I-10, making your way into downtown Phoenix, we had some breaks earlier this morning, starting around 67th Avenue, making your way closer to the stack. And those are gone. So we're looking at a better commute now if you're traveling into downtown using that freeway. 23 minutes to go 23 miles if you travel a stretch between the 303 over to the mini stack. Pretty good. North Valley, overall green conditions for I-17, Carefree Highway, Loop 303, although there is construction I-17 northbound near Daisy Mountain. So heads up there. Carefree Highway can always help you re-enter the freeway. East side of town, if you travel on I-10 eastbound and westbound, the overpass that's near 40th Street, that's where a crash is. So not on the main lanes of the freeway, but on the overpass. Oh, and we also have a little bit of team coverage. One of our crews is out at the scene of the crash that's on McDowell Road, just east of 32nd Street, working to gather some more details for you, but this will definitely be a stretch that you may want to avoid because this is reported as a serious crash with an extrication. So you can use Thomas or Indian School, or you can hop up and use Northern or Southern Streets as well, but we'll keep watching this and we'll let you know what else we find.
Chelsea, thank you. Can your family live off of $240 a week? If you're unemployed in Arizona, that is now the maximum amount you can get through unemployment assistance. This morning, the Rebound Arizona team is looking at why benefits are lower and harder to get than in other states. Joe Ducey shows us why legislators tried to address it before this pandemic.
What do we do in a case of a mass unemployment event?
It's March, well before anyone knew what this pandemic would do. And State Representative Mitzi Epstein wants action to protect Arizona workers just in case.
At the very least, we need an unemployment insurance plan.
She proposes increasing Arizona's weekly unemployment benefit.
$240 a week is not enough to get by.
It's the second lowest amount of any state, but Epstein says debate was not allowed and her amendment did not go further.
Unemployment insurance needs some work here in Arizona. It's kind of a hot mess right now. I don't know if you've heard.
For months, hundreds in added federal assistance has masked just how little unemployed Arizonans would get without it. Well, now that's gone. And so, big questions. Can you live on $240 a week? And why hasn't it been increased since 2004?
We think that that should be enough to cover your rent, essentially.
At $960 a month, current unemployment benefits are below even the average 1,000 plus Phoenix monthly rent.
We've put out an estimate of approximately doubling that to $480, $490, $500. That would bring us in line with states that are our neighbors.
Andrew Shagru is with the Arizona Center for Economic Progress. In a letter, the center and other groups ask elected officials for other changes. Right now, minimum wage workers must work an average 30 hours a week to qualify, which excludes many part-time workers.
More than 15 or 20 hours a week, you should be able to qualify.
They also want a governor's executive order that workers can make up to $300 a week and still qualify for unemployment. Right now, the cap is just $30.
It is so low that people don't have an incentive to work.
On the other side, that lack of incentive to work is used differently as a reason not to raise benefits too high or workers won't want to go back. Something Epstein believes is false and tried to address 6 months ago.
Very importantly, folks, it is not a handout. Unemployment insurance is an economic stabilizer.
Economic stabilizer meaning more money in pockets, more money being possibly spent in the economy. Democratic state legislators have called for an investigation into unresolved claims and an audit of DES processes. As for governor's executive order, that office tells me the Constitution prevents it. It requires action by the state legislature. More to come on this one. For the Rebound Arizona, I'm Joe Ducey. If you got a problem, let me know.
Joe Ducey, thank you. Well, today Mexico celebrates its Independence Day, and for the first time in more than 150 years, no crowds will gather in Mexico City's main square for celebrations. A traditional El Grito ceremony was held at the National Palace with a message from the President of Mexico. Looks beautiful there, lit up in all those colors there, the Mexican flag.
Well, coming up here on ABC 15 Mornings, an executive order says employers can stop taking out the 6% Social Security payroll tax. But with so many business owners refusing to do this, we're asking why.
Well, most of us would love some extra money in our pockets this fall heading into the holiday season. That's what a payroll tax holiday promises. But it looks like some companies aren't going to participate. The president's executive order suspending the Social Security tax took effect 2 weeks ago. CNBC says if you earn $50,000 a year, you could see an extra $100 in each paycheck through the end of this year. Earn $30,000 a year? Pocket another $75 per paycheck. But a growing number of companies are not participating. Yours may not be either. Many employers are opting out. The order suspends collection of the 6% Social Security tax. But you might not want to spend it. That's because it's only a tax deferral, not a tax cut. You will have to pay it back starting in January, so think of it like a short-term loan. Well, Congress could decide to forgive the tax holiday and let you keep the extra cash. If that happens, more businesses are sure to participate.
Well, Apple is releasing 2 new watches that come with some high-tech ways to get you feeling better. The more expensive watch includes enhanced health features like the ability to track your blood oxygen level. It also has automatic hand washing detection, which recognizes the motion of hand washing. The feature encourages users to wash for the recommended 20 seconds. Up next here at 6:30, it has been a month since students were allowed back into the classroom. New for you this morning, how the kids are staying safer and how this Valley School District has seen any rise on COVID cases.
Plus 11 electoral votes that could decide the presidency. How exactly did Arizona become such a crucial swing state?